This is Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen, and today I'm recreating one of his many moments with an action figure. But I'm not just stopping at Gojo, I'll also be recreating scenes from Chainsaw Man, Hunter x Hunter, Attack on Titan, and even Berserk. In the end, I'll find a way to make anime collide and create a unique piece of art. Let the challenge begin. The first anime we're kicking things off with is Jujutsu Kaisen, one of the best looking shows in recent years with a great story. This is Gojo in his Jujutsu High School outfit from season 2. It's one of my favorite versions of the character, and the SH Figuarts figure does a great job capturing it. He comes with multiple hand options, including one holding a cell phone, plus his signature glasses before he switched to the blindfold, and the articulation here is impressive. You can pose him in everything from techniques to casual moments, which is a lot of fun. And by the way, this Gojo is one of the figures we'll be using in our big crossover at the end, so stay tuned for that. For this first recreation, I wanted to capture that really goofy walk that Gojo does when he's walking. The biggest thing when recreating poses is choosing the right accessories, and these were the ones I picked out. We pretty much have everything we're going to need except for the can, which unfortunately was not included with this figure. After attaching all the parts, I started placing the joints and everything in the right spot. The long legs and arm all fell into place perfectly, and once everything was posed just right, the result nailed that goofy stride that makes Gojo such a fun character. Now that's just one pose for Jujutsu Kaisen, but we'll be coming back to this series in a few. Let's switch over to our next anime, Hunter x Hunter. This is a new series that SH Figuarts started, and I have the very first figure they made, Gon. While I still haven't watched Hunter x Hunter yet, this figure is such a blast to handle. Colors are vibrant, the sculpt and facial features are spot on, and the articulation combined with accessories is extremely satisfying. This figure can run, sit, leap, and even pull off one of Gon's special moves, Jajanken scissors. This is actually one of the figures you guys voted for me to get the most when I was looking for some new anime figures to add to the collection, and I've gotta say that so far it's a very satisfying release. For the first recreation, I went with Jajanken Rock Attack, which is another one of his special moves. I started by positioning the legs into a squatting stance, planted the feet, and set the arms and torso for the charge. With that out of the way, I attached the effect piece and also made sure that the face had the gritted teeth faceplate, and just like that, the pose captured the intensity of the scene. Angles are something that are very important when it comes to posing and showing off your finished pose, but I've got to say, whether you're looking at this pose from the front or side, it looks very accurate to the anime. Now because I'm really enjoying this figure, I wanted to try my hand at another recreation, like this kick that Gon does during his fight with Hisoka. The key moves that need to be done here are having the left leg back and bent at the knee, right leg high up, and then the hip twist to the left. After adjusting the arms and torso, the final pose hit the dynamic in-motion look perfectly. I think that both of these recreations turned out solid, and I had a lot of fun bringing it to life with this figure, but let me know which of these recreations were your favorite. Now we still got a few more anime to visit like Attack on Titan and Chainsaw Man, which is coming up soon, but let's check back in with Jujutsu Kaisen for one more pose. One of my favorite things about season 2 was seeing the dynamic between Gojo and Geto. So not only did I bring in this SH Figuarts Gojo, but I also got the matching Geto figure. Honestly, I can't really decide if I love this figure more than Gojo. It's such a solid addition to the collection though, either way. The accuracy is spot on from the facial sculpt to the baggy pants, so it really should be no problem doing this next pose. Here we have this shot from a season 2 poster where Geto is laughing and Gojo is running forward, and this moment has a lot of energy going for it that I think will be a lot of fun to try with these figures. Both of these figures were handling their poses quite well, and I really like what SH Figuarts did with the hands in the pocket effect because it really sells the look that they're going for. It really blends in with the entire outfit. That's going to be a wrap on Jujutsu Kaisen for now, but with our duo pose out of the way, I say it's time we move on and see what we can pull off with our next anime, Attack on Titan. Now Attack on Titan is one of those series that really takes you on a roller coaster of not just action, but also a very gripping story that has a little bit of grief in there as well. I mean, even in the first episode alone, it's very intense, and it also sets the stage perfectly for the threats that the Titans pose. For this recreation, I'm using the amazing Yamaguchi Attack Titan. The design for this figure is simple, but all the essential details are here. Different hands, optional hairpiece, and even movable eyes, which is surprising for a figure of this size. The posing of this figure feels pretty natural like other Yamaguchi figures, and honestly, this might be my favorite figure of the year already. For our next recreation, I'm going for this shot where the Attack Titan is winding up for a punch. I used a right fist and a left hand that looks a bit relaxed but has a bit of a clench to the fingers. I also switched the hairpiece with the windswept hair, which allows some motion to be shown in this pose. And then last, I set the eyes toward the attack. A few tweaks later, with the arms, legs, and having a slight arch in the back, I think that this pose really came together. A lot of what I did for this pose is not visible in the shot that I used, but I do imagine that this matches pretty well with what's being done in the upper section, and it shows just how dynamic this figure can be. Now, the Attack Titan isn't the only Titan in the show. There are many others, and Amazing Yamaguchi has a solid lineup so far of these characters. I wanted to get my hands on another one to try another pose with, and that's where Calcus Toy came in. They provided me with the female Titan along with the final figure we'll be using later when we get to the Berserk. Calcus has also been pretty great to work with, and if you're looking for high quality action figures, whether it be Amazing Yamaguchi or SH Figuarts like you see in this video, you can use my code GEEKCALCUS for 6% off on your orders and get some pretty cool figures for your collection. Taking a look at this female Titan though, the design is absolutely incredible. You've got impressive articulation, dynamic range, and all the small details from muscle tendons to the movable eyes like we saw with the Attack Titan, and a lot more that make posing this figure a really good time. She also comes with a decent amount of accessories to add to the fun, and we're going to be using one of them, the hardened leg. Our next pose is going to be recreating this kick that she does when she has the leg hardened, so let's swap in this accessory and get to posing. After fine-tuning areas like the torso and waist and even the leg, the final pose captured the energy and motion of the scene perfectly. Now we're getting pretty close to our crossover, but first, let's tackle some Chainsaw Man. With the upcoming movie, it felt like a good time to revisit Season 1 and recreate this shot where Denji lunges at Samurai Sword. For this, I'm using the SH Figuarts Chainsaw Man, which is still one of my favorite figures to date. Tamashii Nations and Bandai nailed the design of this figure. It has those sharp teeth, dirtied clothing, and even the insane chainsaw blades. Then for accessories, you get multiple hands, an extra mouthpiece that has the tongue out, and even this tie, which we'll be using for this next recreation. Recreating this moment went very well. I moved the arms aside to adjust the legs into a high leap position, angled the torso using the deep ab crunch that this figure has, and even rotated the head to the position that it needed. The open mouthpiece is especially fun. The tongue moves, which lets you add some motion to any poses that you do with this particular piece. After some final tweaks on the arms, the pose was complete, and it really captures the dynamic energy of the scene. What do you all think? With Chainsaw Man pose, it's time to tackle the real beast of this video, the Black Swordsman himself, Guts from Berserk. Now, I was kind of saving him for last because this figure has had a rough history, being one of the most problematic figures out there, which already made me a little nervous. Luckily, this is the reissue that Calcus Toy sent, so I'm hoping that it'll hold up a lot better compared to the nightmare stories that I've heard around the community. The figure itself though is incredible in terms of detail, the armor sculpt, the faces, the massive Dragon Slayer sword, and even the green Behelit. Now since I'm only allowing myself to recreate things from anime and not manga, that meant I had to turn to the 2016 adaptation for reference. I would have loved to do something from the 1997 version, which looks far better in comparison to the 2016 anime, but unfortunately the 2016 version is the only anime for Berserk that shows this particular style of the character. I found this still from the anime that has a bit of dynamic motion to it and allows me to use the Dragon Slayer sword, so that's the one I'm gonna go with. First, I started with the cape, shaping its internal wiring to give it motion and have it flowing up. Once that was taken care of and looked good, I positioned the legs into a low kneeling stance. Next, I worked on the arms to get him ready for holding the Dragon Slayer, but the shoulder armor kept popping off as I adjusted the arms. Attaching it back was also annoying too because the joint wouldn't stay up sometimes, but after a few careful tweaks, it finally stayed in place. With the arms locked in, the torso twisted, and then the cape flowing, I finally got everything lined up to capture the swing of the sword and the sense of motion from this scene. We've seen some incredible figures and poses so far, but now it's time for the ultimate challenge, a crossover shot. I ran a poll to see which series you wanted to be featured as a photo in the end of this video, and Jujutsu Kaisen came out on top. But here's the twist that I didn't tell you guys. The second most voted series joins in, and that's going to be Berserk. For this scene, I wanted to capture the intensity of Guts' massive Dragon Slayer clashing with two of the sorcerers, or perhaps one of them. I shot multiple photos to have a variety of options to choose from, and after I picked my photo, I refined the lighting, color in Lightroom, and finished the final touches of the photo in Photoshop. here was our final result, a collision of two worlds in one shot. I am curious what you all think though. In this showdown, who do you think would win, Guts or Gojo and Geto? Drop your answer in the comments, and if you want to see more epic anime posing, check out this video next.